And NATO ministers are now holding meetings in Antalya in southern Turkey. They are discussing the situation in eastern Ukraine as well as the fight against the Islamic State. And for more on the NATO foreign ministers meetings, we're joined by correspondent Natalie Carney. She's in Antalya in southern Turkey. Hello, Natalie. Tell us what's happening there.
Well, prior to these meetings, the U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry briefed the foreign ministers about his meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin and Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, basically saying that it is a critical moment for Russia to live up to the Minsk agreement in regards to the Ukraine. Now, this very much echoes exactly what NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said in his opening speech, saying now is the time to implement the Minsk agreement in full. Ceasefires must be respected. Heavy weapons must be withdrawn, and they also called on Russia to stop supporting separatists. The NATO-Ukraine Commission will be meeting this afternoon for further talks in that regard. But as far as the morning sessions go, they spoke a lot about Afghanistan and focused their attention there, particularly about what to do following the Resolute Support mission. And what they've come up with is a plan to maintain their presence in Afghanistan following that mission by training civilian personnel. There'll be a future presence led by civilians to develop plans for NATO's continued presence in the war-ravaged country. Basically, they are there to advise, train, and assist Afghanistan towards being self-sufficient. Although he also made note that he knows, and all of NATO foreign ministers know, that it's a very difficult and challenging road ahead. And as you mentioned, they are also here to discuss how NATO members could play a more active role against the threat of ISIL in the region, something that's very important to Turkey in particular. Clint?
In fact, Natalie, you touched on my next question. That is, why did NATO choose Turkey as the venue for this meeting? And what should we expect on that part of the discussions?
Well, yes, Turkey is the venue of choice due to the fact that they were invited here on the invitation of now Prime Minister Ahmet Davutoglu, who for many years worked with NATO in his role and capacity as Foreign Minister of Turkey. Turkey's geographical location, of course, being right across the Black Sea from Ukraine and just above, holding the longest border with Syria, really gives it a unique perspective to the problems in the region, more of a perspective than any other NATO country really can boast of. So I think it's very crucial, and all NATO members felt it was very crucial to gather here for such discussions, particularly on issues that are affecting countries neighboring Turkey. Turkey, however, has been deemed to be having rather strained relations with NATO, though, over the last year or so. Some people saying Turkey is trying to carve out its own independent foreign policy away from its NATO allies. However, none of that tension seems to be visual at this point. We're not hearing sort of any scuffles in the hallway, so to speak. So it seems to be that they're focusing at the task on hand, and what we are expecting is obviously more constructive discussions about the crisis in the region. And a lot of people are talking about hopefully NATO coming up with some sort of concise, some sort of agreed upon decision to act towards and safeguard the sovereignty of the Ukraine, which is something all NATO members want, but they've struggled on how to go about doing that. So hopefully maybe we'll hear something more in that regard.
Natalie Carney reporting from Antalya in southern Turkey. Thank you.